Welcome to r/Am I the Jerk, where Karen helps herself to OP's bank account. My parents took money from my savings without asking me, and now they're expecting me to pay their mortgage. I, 18 female, work for my dad and I earn a really good wage for my age. I've been with this company for a year now, saving nearly all of my earnings in an account that my parents don't have access to, while keeping a little aside for daily expenses. My relationship with my parents has always been rocky due to their toxic marriage. And my brother, who's 10, and myself have always been caught in the middle of their unresolved issues. I live under their roof, but I've been planning to move out and eventually take my sibling with me when I can afford it. Lately, things have been relatively calm between us, so I thought maybe I could start trusting them a bit more. They've always told me that my money is mine, so I didn't anticipate this. Last night, my parents asked to see my savings account. When I showed them, they grabbed my phone and ignored my questions about what they were doing. I overheard them transferring $990, the daily limit, into their loan account without my permission. I confronted them and my dad laughed, telling me to transfer another $990 the next day. They didn't explain why they were taking the money or ask for my help beforehand. This morning, my mom admitted it was for their mortgage. I told her they could have asked me first instead of taking my money without permission. She responded, "Your money is our money, and you're getting the house when we die, so what's the problem?" That hurt more than I expected because I've worked hard to save this money for my future, for myself and my sibling, and now it feels like all my efforts are meaningless. I refused to give them any more money, which led to a huge argument with my mom. She accused me of being selfish and ungrateful, saying they've supported me my entire life. I do feel grateful, but this still feels like they've crossed a line by taking my money without permission and then demanding more. I understand they're stressed financially, but I feel like they're treating me like an ATM rather than their daughter. I'm questioning whether I should just give in to keep the peace, even though it feels wrong. Why I might be the jerk. I refuse to give them more money for their mortgage, even though I live under their roof, and they've supported me in the past. Maybe I'm being selfish by prioritizing my savings instead of helping them during a tough time. Am I in the wrong for saying no? Not the jerk. They stole from you. I'd move the money to another bank and change the account access to only you. Call the bank and report the unauthorized transfers out of your account. Not the jerk. I really despise when parents use the whole "I raised you and did everything, blah blah blah" line. Yes, thank you. You can appreciate it and maybe do things back for them, but you don't have to because they raised you. They signed up for the responsibility of having you, so it's their job to feed, shelter, and provide for you. You can be grateful, but that doesn't mean that you have to be their cash cow just because they did so much. Saying that "you'll get the house when I die" is straight toxic manipulation. It's as if they're saying, "If you don't do this, you'll get nothing when we die, and it's your fault." Update. Thanks to everyone who offered advice. I listened and called the bank. They've now restricted all transfers out of my savings account, which feels like a relief. They mentioned that the only way to get the $990 back would be to lodge a police report, but I decided against that. I'm just not mentally strong enough to go against my parents like that right now. Thank you for all of your support and the encouragement. Am I the jerk for not giving my niece the gift I planned for my goddaughter? My niece, Alex, who's 14, and my goddaughter, Daisy, who's 8, both have December birthdays and just a few days apart. Cool, right? Except my relationship with Alex is kinda meh. I don't get along with my sister, her mom, so I only really see Alex during family stuff like Christmas, Easter, or birthdays. She's super introverted, barely talks at gatherings, always has her headphones on, and apparently loves books. That's about all I know about her. And to be honest, I had no clue what kind of music she liked. Daisy, on the other hand, is like my mini bestie. Her mom and I have been best friends since middle school, so I've been there for every big moment in Daisy's life. She's practically family to me. Lately, Daisy has gotten into K-pop, which is amazing because I'm a massive fan too. We bond over it all the time, learning lyrics, trying choreography, and just geeking out together. She's even started to love my favorite group. So for her birthday, I decided to go all out and make it special. I got 2 tickets to this group's concert in January, plus I'm covering travel and accommodations. Yeah, it's expensive, but I don't care because I know that we'd make lifelong memories together. Fast forward to last week, my sister overheard me talking to our mom about the concert plan. That's when things got awkward. Turns out, Alex also loves this group. Who knew? And my sister immediately suggested that I take Alex to the concert instead. I was like, no. I already bought the tickets for Daisy and me. Plus, the concert is sold out, so it's not like I can magically grab another ticket. and even if I could, I honestly can't afford a 3-person trip. My sister didn't care. She pushed back, saying Alex is older, my real niece, and therefore deserves the experience more than Daisy. She even suggested that I ditch Daisy entirely and just take Alex instead. At this point, I was getting frustrated. I told her the whole trip was planned specifically as Daisy's birthday gift. How is it fair to take it away from an 8-year-old? I did try to meet her halfway though. I told her that now that I know Alex loves this group, I'd make sure to get her something cool for her birthday, like official merch or even a signed album if I could swing it. But nope, that wasn't good enough for my sister. She blew up, calling me a jerk and accusing me of loving Daisy more than my own blood. Later, my mom chimed in and said I was being unfair too. She argued that a teenager would appreciate a concert way more than an 8-year-old. But like, am I supposed to scrap the whole plan I've been working on for months just to make Alex happy? Daisy's been so excited about this, and I'm not about to crush her little heart because my sister suddenly decided it's not fair. So yeah, am I the jerk here? Or do I stick to my plan and keep this special moment for Daisy? Update. I wanted to post this update since last Sunday was Alex's birthday and this Sunday will be Daisy's. Even though my sister and mom frustrated me with their comments about swapping gifts and questioning whether Daisy was a real family, I knew Alex wasn't to blame for any of this mess. She's just a kid caught in the middle, and I felt bad about the idea of giving her some boring generic gift. So I tried to talk to my sister to figure out what kind of K-pop merch Alex might love, or at least what she already had in her collection. Instead of helping, she straight up told me to go buzz off and said that Alex didn't need my pity second thought gift. Yeah, that made me mad, but I wasn't about to give up. Next, I reached out to my brother-in-law. Thankfully, he was super helpful and actually seemed glad that I wanted to make an effort for Alex. He told me some things I didn't know, like how Alex has social anxiety, no close friends, and how books, K-pop, and K-dramas are pretty much her escape. Apparently, my sister is always giving her grief about it, which broke my heart to hear. With that in mind, I went all out for Alex's gift. I got her the official light stick for her favorite group, a plushie of her favorite member's mascot, and a newly released signed album. Yeah, I might have gone a little overboard, but I was feeling guilty about the whole situation and really wanted to make her happy. And let me tell you, it was so worth it. When Alex opened up her presents, she lit up like I've never seen before. I swear, it must have been the first time I'd ever seen her give a genuine smile. She hugged me tightly and even said she'd been saving up to buy the light stick herself. It was such a sweet moment and it made me feel like I had done something right. I told her that maybe for the group's next tour, we could go to a concert together and use our light sticks. She seemed really excited about the idea, but of course, my sister had to ruin it. In front of everyone, she scoffed and said, "Yeah, because we all know you're taking your favorite this year. Of course, Alex takes the back seat." You could just see the hurt and embarrassment on Alex's face. She tried to brush it off and thank me again for her presence. Then she said she didn't really want to go to a concert anyway because the crowds and noise would be too overwhelming for her, but maybe she could visit my place sometime to play Zelda and read manga. That melted my heart, honestly. Before I could even respond, my sister tried to cut in with some comment about how I'm too busy, but I shut her down right away. I looked Alex straight in the eyes and said she's always welcome at my place. Later, I overheard my sister and brother-in-law arguing in the kitchen. Let's just say he wasn't happy with her. I didn't stick around to hear the whole thing, but it felt good to know he was standing up for Alex. All in all, I think Alex's birthday turned out okay. She seemed genuinely happy, and I'm hoping this is the start of us having a closer relationship. Now, I just can't wait to surprise Daisy with her birthday plans this weekend. Not the jerk. No offense, OP, but your sister sounds like a raging, salty jerk who seems to enjoy being passive-aggressive more than being kind to her daughter. The fact that she actively tries to ruin her own daughter's excitement over gifts is awful. I wouldn't be surprised if that kind of behavior is part of what's caused your niece's social anxiety. Your brother-in-law at least seems like he has his priorities straight. OP. My sister has always been like this. She loves drama. She was super passive-aggressive with me when we were kids, too. For example, when I was 12 and she was 16, I had a crush on her history project partner. She told him and humiliated me in front of him. I've always wanted a relationship with Alex, especially because kids aren't an option for me. But my sister always found a way to drag me into her drama, and my mental health just couldn't handle it for a long time. After almost 4 years of therapy, I'm in a much better place, and I know how to manage her nonsense now. If Alex wants a relationship with me, I'll make sure it happens. You should have prioritized your niece instead of Daisy. OP. I take care of Daisy a lot because our mom is an only child and her relationship with her husband's family isn't great. I know how much work a trip and a concert can be, especially with a young kid. That's why I planned the trip with Daisy in mind, and it's also part of why I don't want to swap gifts. When I was 9, my older cousin took me to a concert. I wasn't even that into the artist, but I still remember it vividly. That experience is why I love live events today. Maybe Daisy will forget the details, but there's also a chance that 30 years from now, she'll take her own kids to a concert because of this memory. In my culture, it's normal for kids to tag along to things like concerts, theater, or festivals. For the most part, they do what the adults do. Plus, Daisy is really sweet and well-behaved, which makes it easier. My neighbors have turned me into a Karen that hates fun. So, I really need to vent because these neighbors of mine are straight up unbearable. I'm a pretty chill person, love kids, have my own, and believe in letting them be kids. But man, these neighbors, they're something else entirely. Their 2 kids are, hands down, the most feral little creatures I've ever encountered, and I mean that in the nicest way possible, but also not really. Here's the situation. Our house is situated next to theirs, and our master bedroom, nursery for our 9-month-old, and my office are all on that side of the house. I work from home full-time, which I didn't think would be a problem since, most people respect boundaries, especially in suburban neighborhoods with big yards. But not these folks. Nope. Their driveway runs right alongside our house, and that's where they basically live. All day. And I mean all day. They must have some sort of homeschooling policy that forbids them from using their actual yard because these kids are literally in their driveway from sunrise to sunset. They never leave the driveway. It's like their territory or something. I realize it's their property, but come on, there's a huge yard right there, and they won't use it. I'm not sure if they have some vendetta against grass or whatever, but it's honestly bizarre. These kids play everything right up against my house. Tennis? Yep, they hit the ball against my house. Basketball? Absolutely, they bounce it off my roof. Skateboarding? Sure, why not? They've set up what they call a makeshift skate park. And archery practice? Absolutely. They've got a whole range set up against my house. It's literally like living next to a circus. And don't even get me started on the noise. The screaming, the thumping, the constant banging of balls. It's like being trapped in a chaotic background track of their endless playground all day long. The real kicker? They have dogs. 3 of them. A Rottweiler, a Dalmatian, and a Pit Bull. Apparently, their homeschooling plan involves teaching responsibility by forcing these 6 and 8-year-olds to take care of their dogs. So guess what? The dogs are outside 24/7, barking their heads off all night long. It's honestly maddening. I've confronted the parents about the barking, and their response? Oh, it's the kids' responsibility. As if somehow this absolves them of any blame. I filed noise complaints, and to their credit, that's helped with the dogs. It's not as bad as before, but honestly, the feral kids are a different story. I don't even know how to handle them anymore. It's like they've made my house an extension of theirs, using it as their personal playground. And the worst part, they don't seem to care. I've got a 9-month-old who wakes up at all hours because of the noise. Nap times? Forget it. The sound of kids screaming and balls bouncing off the side of my house is my new normal. Their mess, balls stuck in the gutters, bikes abandoned on our lawn, is constantly cluttering up our space. It's driving me absolutely nuts. You'd think at least they'd keep the noise down at night, but no, the dogs stay out all night, barking like they've got something to prove. I found these dogs roaming the neighborhood like they're wild animals 3 times in the past month. I've tried talking to the parents, but they just brush it off. They've already told me it's not their problem, it's the kids' responsibility. Like, cool, but what about the rest of us trying to sleep? Honestly, this family is a complete circus. I feel like I'm living next to the loudest, most chaotic family ever, and I'm going insane. Am I the jerk for calling my cousin's ex to come get their daughter and refusing to watch her for the night? So I, 15 female, used to be super close with my cousin, C, who's 17 female. We've always been like sisters since we're so close in age, and I've been really supportive of her, especially when she had her daughter, P, last year. Her relationship with P's dad has been rocky at best, so I've always tried to help her out, whether it was listening to her vent, going to doctor's appointments with her, or spending time with P. I love that kid, and C knows it. Whenever she needs a break, I'm usually the first person she calls. I've taken P to the park, the gallery, you name it. So when C asked me to babysit one evening so she could go out with her friends, I didn't even hesitate. I love both of them, so it felt like no big deal. Everything was fine at first. P went to bed without a fuss, and I settled in to watch some Netflix and snack. C said she'd be back by 11:30, so I figured I'd hang out for a few hours and then head to bed. But then 11:30 came and went and no sign of C. At first, I wasn't too worried. I thought maybe she had got caught up talking with her friends or lost track of time. But then midnight rolled around, still nothing. I texted her, no response. I called her and it went straight to voicemail. I tried to stay calm because, honestly, C's not usually like this. She's flaky sometimes, but she's never just gone MIA. I started getting a little worried when 1 a.m. rolled around and I hadn't heard a peep. I even tried calling a couple of her friends, but no one picked up. To make things worse, I checked her location on my phone. We always shared it with each other, and she had turned it off. That freaked me out because she never does that. Finally, at around 3 a.m., she sent me this super casual text like, "Hey, I'm staying at a friend's place tonight. It's late and I don't want to pay for a taxi. See you in the morning." I was furious. Like, not only did she ditch me with zero warning, but she also didn't even check in to make sure everything was okay with P. And yeah, I'm 15, but I'm not equipped to handle an overnight situation with a baby. If she had just asked me or let me know earlier, maybe I would have been okay with it, but to just assume that I'd stay, not cool. I thought about waiting it out until the morning, but then P woke up around 4 a.m. screaming. I tried everything to calm her down, but nothing worked. She wouldn't take her bottle, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong. I was panicking at this point. I didn't feel comfortable just waiting until C decided to show up, so I made a decision. I called P's dad. C and P's dad aren't together, but P sees him regularly, and I knew he'd be able to handle this better than I could. He answered right away, and when I explained the situation, he and his mom came over immediately to pick up P. I texted C to let her know where P was, and then crashed on her sofa because I was too exhausted to go home. When I woke up the next morning, C still hadn't replied to my text, so I packed up my stuff and went home. My parents were super understanding and told me I did the right thing. But later that day, C called me absolutely furious. She accused me of betraying her and siding with her ex, saying I dragged P into their issues. I tried explaining that I was overwhelmed and didn't know what else to do, but she just hung up on me. Over the next few days, she sent me this long message about how hurt she was and how I had broken her trust. On top of that, I started getting spammed with texts from her friends and even my aunt, saying I was wrong to call P's dad and should have just stayed the night. But honestly, I don't think I did anything wrong. P regularly stays with her dad, and I never agreed to watch her overnight. Was I wrong? I honestly don't know anymore. Edit. A few things I forgot to mention that might help clear things up. My aunt and uncle, C's parents, were out of town that weekend, which is why C went out in the first place. I didn't call my parents during the whole ordeal because honestly, I panicked. I thought it was too late to wake them up, and since I know P's dad pretty well, he felt like the best person to call. The original plan was for me to babysit until 11:30, then go to sleep at C's place while she took over. I wasn't supposed to be there all night. Update. This morning, I showed my mom all the messages I've been getting from C's friends and my aunt. She was livid. She's planning to go over and talk to my aunt later today to set things straight. I also blocked C's friends because I'm done with the harassment. P's dad actually texted me to thank me for calling him. He and his mom are apparently considering going to court for more custody of P, and now I think that might be why C is so angry with me. She's probably scared it'll look bad on her. I sent C a message explaining that I understand she has issues with P's dad, but in that moment I was overwhelmed and just did what I thought was best for P. I also pointed out that she never told me not to call him. She hasn't replied, and honestly, I don't expect her to anytime soon. One thing's for sure, I'm never babysitting for her again. Thanks again for the advice. Not the jerk. Your cousin was taking advantage of you. No responsible mother would fail to answer her phone while her baby is being watched by someone else. If there had been a medical emergency, that would have been far too much pressure on you. I think your cousin didn't tell you she was planning to stay out all night because she thought you might refuse to watch her baby. Her behavior was completely irresponsible. You tried to contact her, and when she didn't respond, you called the baby's father. She's acting like you just left the baby there, leaving the house unlocked with no one else home. In reality, you did the responsible thing. Don't let their comments upset you. She's probably feeling guilty and embarrassed for setting you up for an overnight babysitting job without warning or asking you. You broke her trust? No, she broke yours. You're 15, had no clear communication, no way to know when she'd be back until super late at night. Honestly, I don't think I would have had such a clear head at 15 to contact her ex, amidst the stress of the lack of contact, the baby crying, etc. You were responsible. You did the right things and still kept a mature head through all of it. My girlfriend says I need to get rid of my late wife's stuff or she's leaving me. I first got married at the age of 18 to my girlfriend I'd known since we were 15. We enjoyed 6 years of marriage together before she passed in an accident, leaving me broken and depressed for years. A bit over 1 year ago, 4 years after my wife's passing, I met my current girlfriend at a work event and we really hit it off. I decided that it was time for me to start looking for a serious partner again and that my wife would have wanted me to be happy. My current girlfriend and I became more serious over time and we moved in together 2 weeks ago. I've talked with her extensively about my deceased wife and the mental health issues that it brought to me, and she's been nothing but supportive and loving. The problems began after we moved in together. I have a small chest that I used to keep under my bed that has a few things that belong to my late wife, along with some photos of the two of us. During the moving process, my girlfriend noticed the chest and asked me about it, so I explained what it was and I showed her the contents. I didn't really expect for it to be a big deal, but since I showed her, things have never been worse between us. She sat me down that night and explained that because I still had the chest and wanted to keep it, it was an indication to her that I hadn't moved on from my deceased wife and that she doesn't think she can continue the relationship unless I get rid of it. I was pretty shocked at this and told her that I needed some time to think about it. Well, it's been 2 weeks now and I still don't know what to do. My current girlfriend and I have had no major problems up until this point, and she's asking me daily when I plan to get rid of it and says she can't live in the same space as the chest. I really don't want to get rid of it, but I want to continue my relationship with her as well. What can I say to get her to understand? Or am I being crazy by keeping those things for years? Update. Some people were wondering how often I look at the chest and talk about my late wife. I spend prolonged time with the chest and its contents usually twice a year, on our anniversary date and the date of her passing. So I'm not constantly opening it and having it out and around and stuff. I feel as though I find the most comfort just knowing that it's nearby, strangely enough, which is why I wanted to keep it in the house. Most of the conversations about my previous marriage have been prompted by my girlfriend, not me. I can talk about it pretty openly when asked about my late wife, but I seldom bring her up on my own in conversation. She used to be all I ever talked about, and it was annoying and uncomfortable to people in my life. Looking back on a lot of our conversations, my girlfriend would frequently ask questions trying to gauge if I was still mourning or if I was happy again. Now with the chest incident, that makes sense to me that it has been an unvoiced insecurity for a while. At the time, I suppose I just thought she was asking if I was depressed still, but I see now that she was trying to ask if I was over my late wife. When my girlfriend asked me to get rid of the chest, she did in fact mean dispose of it. I didn't go into great detail about the conversation we had when she sat me down, but I proposed keeping it more tucked away, not in our bedroom, or at another person's home, and she continued to say that I was still hanging on and not ready for a relationship in her eyes, and keeping it somewhere else didn't change that. I'm definitely not getting rid of the chest, and by that I mean disposing of it, and it's been locked in my car the past couple of days while I've been dealing with this. I got some really good advice from you guys and tried to have an open, honest conversation with her today, asking her why the chest was so significant as to give me an ultimatum, and why she felt like I had to get rid of it to continue growing our relationship. She said the entire relationship we've had, she's always felt like she had to match up to the standards of my late wife, or be even better so that I would stay with her, and that me still having the chest was the confirmation that she will always be less than. If I got rid of the chest, it would be confirmation that I was ready to give my whole heart to her. This broke my heart, honestly, and I couldn't believe she never told me she was feeling this way and that I didn't see it. It also made me feel confused because I've been trying to show her the best I can that I can give her my heart in other ways. Why do I need to dump these precious memories to do that? I told her that the relationship with my late wife and my relationship with her are entirely independent of one another, and that I was focused on building trust and love with her, not trying to replace my late wife or compare her by any means. I told her that I couldn't dispose of the chest because it meant a lot to me sentimentally, and that I wasn't keeping it to hang on to or cling on to my late wife. I just felt as though it was an important part of my history, and I wanted to honor her memory. Some of the trinkets in the chest were from when we were 16 years old, going to high school dances and learning how to drive together. I couldn't simply trash those. I reassured her that I loved her for exactly who she was, not the position she held in my life or how similar she was to my late wife. I told her that I could see us building a life together and that I was focused on our future, not my past. I told her that there is absolutely no competition and that while I was hurt by the ultimatum, I was ready to move past this and move the chest to storage or somewhere else. It wasn't enough for her. I don't know what else I needed to say or do to communicate my love and dedication, but she was dead set on me getting rid of the chest or her leaving. I told her a final time that there was not an ounce of a chance I was getting rid of it. Radio silence. Then she gets a bag of her stuff, hops in her car, and drives off, ignoring me when I asked what was going on. After calling her multiple times for a few hours, I learned she's staying with a friend, who she called in the car, I guess, so she originally just drove off, not knowing where she was going, and making arrangements to move out next week. I'm still in shock, but I mostly feel confused and hollow. Maybe I truly wasn't ready for a relationship. Maybe she's just crazy. Maybe a bit of both. OP, this person doesn't understand you or your loss. I'm a widow. It's been 9 years now without my beloved. The first 3 to 4 years were horrible. For the last 5 years, I've been living in harmony with my new partner. We're very content, and this relationship is strong. I too have a memory box that was created when we began living together. Over the years, I have needed that box less and less because time really does heal. I also have a memory box for my late mother and sister. Those memories are priceless. I still have my sister's little christening gown. As my heart is healed with my partner's support, I've been able to move on, but those priceless boxes will follow me wherever I go. In some ways, I'm the gatekeeper of these precious moments. You are behaving in a perfectly reasonable manner, your partner is not. This past year, I almost forgot my late husband's anniversary of his passing. I always put up a temporary Facebook photo of my late husband. This year, my partner reminded me to this little act of remembrance because of my late husband's family appreciates it so much. I had to smile to myself because this meant I had truly moved on, and it solidifies the fact that my partner always has my back. I hope you find the peace that I have attained and a loving partner that always supports you too. It's not that you haven't moved on, it's that your partner is too insecure to allow you to put your memories in their proper place and wants to eradicate your previous life before her. That's very selfish, and I'm so sorry. I'm amazed, but also kind of scared of my girlfriend. I, 28 male, have been dating Jen, 27 female, for 2 years, and she's amazing. Kind, smart, funny, pretty, everything. She has a really warm and bubbly personality, smiles and laughs a lot. I'd say she has RNF, resting nice face. She's also 5'5" of caged fury. Between her looks and approachable personality, she gets guys who flirt with her a lot. She also gets a lot of women who are jealous of her. I used to get really jealous when guys tried to talk to her, and she would get mad at me for being jealous. Let me be 100% clear. She's not particularly flirty. She doesn't initiate conversations, doesn't lead guys on. She's not looking for male attention. I'm 6'1" and somewhat intimidating build, so my go-to move is standing tall with my arms crossed and staring at the guy, then saying something like, "Is there an issue?" Instead of immediately jumping in when guys start flirting with her and causing an argument with her, I started to pay attention to how she handles unwanted attention. She's like a ninja deflecting creeps and mean girls. She reads the situation and knows when to act nice, when to ignore them, when to be firm, and when to leave. I started to realize I don't need to be jealous and she can take care of herself. I tore up my knee over the summer. She basically moved in to help me during my surgery and rehab. She's been amazing, taking me to things when I couldn't drive, making me food when I couldn't even stand, helping me do my PT. I'm still wearing a knee brace, but I'm getting there. She loves to dance. Although I'm terrible, I love going with her because it makes her happy and she looks incredible when she's dancing. Since my injury, we haven't gone out much and we haven't gone dancing. I'm not able to dance more than a slow dance, so I got her friends to go with us so she has someone to dance with. Pretty sure she likes dancing with her female friends more anyway. It was me, Jen, a couple, and 2 girls. The couple left pretty early. Watching her dance, I had a moment of clarity. All I could think was how lucky I was that I'd be going home with the person I most loved in the world. I realized I wanted to marry her. 3 attractive women dancing are going to draw attention. I'm no hater, but it was funny watching guys try to flirt with them and glad that it wasn't me anymore. This group of guys in particular weren't getting the hint. They surrounded the girls and tried to dance behind them. Jen said something and pushed them aside. The girls came back to where I was sitting and the guys are glaring at us. Club closes and we're walking out towards my car. Turns out the guys weren't ready to let it go. A couple of the guys were insulting us, especially me for being a beta, that I'm not a real man. The irony that these guys think I should have been protecting my girlfriend was totally lost on them. They're getting louder and more aggressive. We try to defuse the situation, but they're not letting up. A fight seemed inevitable. We're a block from the club, so I tell the girls we're going to head back to where the people waiting for Ubers are standing. They block our way, and I'm about ready to get in their faces, hoping I can intimidate my way out while the girls get away. I have one bad leg, and if someone shoves me, I'll probably fall down. Plus, there's only one of me. Jen suddenly releases a stream of insults toward these guys and doesn't let up. I'm not sure she even stopped to take a breath. They were shocked, and so was I, by the genuine rage directed towards them. I've never seen her so angry. They're backing up while she's moving towards them screaming. She's driving them back towards the crowd while also creating a commotion. I told you, she's a ninja. Some club goers start to come over, and it's clear that they aren't on the guy's side. The guys are embarrassed because they're getting upbraided by 120 pounds of white-hot rage. This is the part where I should be embarrassed. My girlfriend, who is 8 inches shorter and 75 pounds lighter, kept me from getting my butt kicked. Honestly though, it was one of the most coolest things I've ever seen. She's a keeper. I better get a ring on this one before she realizes she can do better. Update. I was trying to work up the courage to talk to her about our future and make sure we were on the same page. I know she loves me and wants to be my wife, but she has a lot she wants to achieve, like going to grad school. I would have understood if she wanted to wait to get engaged. It still would have hurt though. She was sitting on the couch reading a book, and I was just looking at her. I was thinking, she's so amazing. Just talk to her. Everything will be fine. She looked at me through her big dumb glasses and smiled. That was the final push I needed. Fortunately, we were both on the same page and ready to take the next step. We just went on a long weekend. We were walking to a little spot with a beautiful view for a picnic, and I pretended to stumble and re-injure my knee. Pretty sure she didn't buy it, but she played along. She loved the ring and of course accepted. I'm amazed by and kind of afraid of my fiancé. Do this next. Tap here on your screen to come see our new podcast playlist, where you'll find thousands of hours of the best stories you've ever heard. Or tap the one on the right. That episode is specifically just for you, based on other videos you've enjoyed the most.